British pop star PinkPantheress has just released a remix of her Fancy That mixtape from earlier this year, which had amazing bops like Tonight, Illegal, Stateside, and especially Girl Like Me. I can't glaze that song enough. This remix version of the Fancy That mixtape is called Fancy Some More, and for a long time I've had a huge crush on her and I've been loving her music, so it's pretty exciting that she released a remix version. Here we get fun crossovers between PinkPantheress and a range of unexpected artists on tracks we're already familiar with from Fancy That. The formula is pretty much just a Fancy That song, but with a feature on it. That's how it is for the first 12 tracks on the record in the first disc. The second disc, however, has producers in the mix, with DJs and producers taking these original Fancy That tracks and putting their own spin on them. Some songs even get multiple remixes. For example, for Illegal, there's a version with Anita, K-pop group 17, and a Nia Archives remix, which is really the best version of the song other than the original. As a whole though, this remix project is a pretty mixed bag. It's hit or miss, and it's one of those records where I don't dislike, but I don't really see myself coming back to the majority of the tracks. Some versions of one song do pale in comparison to other versions of that same song, like on the opening track Illegal with Brazilian singer Anita. It's mostly just the same song, but with Anita singing the chorus and the verse this time. I mean, obviously her verse is different from the original as it's in Portuguese, and she does switch up the flow during the second half of her verse, but it's still so identical to the melody of the original PinkPantheress verse anyway. What's the point? Anita even sings the first few lines of the chorus and it sounds good, but once Pink sings the rest of the chorus, Pink just fits the beat so much more. The Nia Archives remix of the song pretty much blows the Anita version out of the water. Girl Like Me with OK Lou turns the head-bopping dance floor vibes of the original upbeat instrumental into a much more atmospheric one, reminiscent of the production aesthetics of OK Lou's Choke Enough album. I still think Choke Enough is a mid-album, so I'm not really into the fact that this remix is bringing back those vibes. It turns this absolute jam into a slower, laid-back ballad that has these, what I believe are ambient synths, replicating strings playing throughout. Making the song more atmospheric and slow just doesn't really make sense. I feel like there are other tracks on Fancy That where OK Lou would sound much more fitting. If OK Lou was going to take this slower, atmospheric approach, why would you let her hop on one of the most head-bopping jams on the record? The only moment in this remix where this slow approach makes sense is the fading Please Don't Go outro. I loved it a lot in the original track and it sounds even more fitting here. Another problem I have with this remix mixtape is that I wish there were more variations in the instrumentals on the tracks that only feature a guest without any other changes. For example, in the Tonight's remix with Jade, it's literally the same song except the second verse is replaced with Jade's, and I guess she adds some backup vocals in the chorus. There could have been more variety and interesting additions to make it feel like its own unique thing. Even though I didn't like the earlier mentioned Girl Like Me remix with OK Lou, I at least commend it for making the beat different from the original. Another example of a remix just being a copy and paste of a track but replacing a verse with a featured guest is the Romeo remix with Rachel Chinariri, which is even more disappointing to me. It was really the collab I had been anticipating the most, not only because Rachel I feel is one of the most exciting R&B pop artists in the UK right now. Well, she used to be R&B, more so pop now, but also because I can imagine Victoria and Rachel's musical styles complementing each other very well if they were to hop on a song together. And while it's not one of the worst songs, it's still disappointing. Rachel's vocals also sound more quiet than Victoria's for some reason. I was hoping that the remixes for the tracks that I wasn't all that into from Fancy That would fully realize their potential and have me enjoy them in their new setting. Noises with JT is an example of a mashup that was very close to hitting that target, but still didn't quite get there. JT's verse is very fun. She brings a lot of energy that contrasts in a nice way with the more low-key whispery delivery that PinkPantheress used in the original song. But again, because there isn't that much variety in the instrumental or everything else about the track, as the end of the day, it really is just the same song, but with a new verse, and given how Noises was already one of my least favourite cuts on Fancy That anyway, it just leaves me feeling disappointed that this great JT verse has kind of gone to waste. But an example where a mashup actually hits that target on the spot is Nice to Know You with Sugababes, a track that I love in this new context, while I still don't care for the original song. Replacing the atmospheric two-step instrumental with a great, even better booming EDM one, and then having Sugababes sing the original sample of the track instead of it just playing the sample is really what the original song should have been. The Stateside remix with Bladee is really the track on the album that I feel tries its best to make its own unique thing from the original while still staying true to what made the original track work. Changing the beat into this almost surreal instrumental of rattling drum patterns and a digital wave of electronic synths with Blade's ethereal auto-tuned vocals over it makes it feel like I'm listening to a whole different song, to the point where I forgot that it was a remix of Stateside during some moments. It sounds like if the internet had its own heaven. The second disc, where the DJs and producers put their own spin on these original Fancy That tracks, is certainly more unique, creative, and have more variety than the first disc, but by that same token, it's also even less consistent. Many of them are sleepers, songs that I don't mind playing in the background, but I'll never listen to on their own. I mean, I guess Keishanada takes a creative spin on Girl Like Me, transforming it into this deep house jam, making Pink's vocals sort of more distant. It's what I imagine Girl Like Me would have sounded like if it was made back in 2021 and landed on the To Hell With It mixtape, but I don't see myself ever coming back to it. The house beat drop towards the end of the Mochakk's remix of Noises is great, but I was never really into the sampled Nardo Wit chorus from the original song, so the fact that it's brought back in this remix without many new elements added to it does turn me off a bit. Still, it's one of the best songs on this disc. This mixtape as a whole was a lot less fun than I thought it would be. There are great remix projects out there that really approach remixes in a way that creates fun, distinct new versions of already familiar songs, such as the 100 Gex one, but I feel like with Fancy Some More, things get a bit boringly repetitive. In the first disc, there are just too many instances where we keep hearing the same song over and over again, with the only new element being the featured guest verse. And in the second disc, while there is more variety, none of it particularly sticks out all that nicely other than that Nia Archives remix and the Mochakk one. What gives this remix tape some points though is that many of the original songs are great anyway, so hearing elements of the originals isn't an entirely bad experience. Still, I just wish there was more variety and quality than what we actually got. If I had to give Fancy Some More a rating without counting the original songs, it would have to be a 5.5.